movie companies are eating each other, and I don't think that we're going to have most of the stuff we like and most of the things we want to watch anymore. I think we're going to see the end of a great era. I'm not going to say necessarily in the last 10 years, but like the general great era of movies and TV shows is not going to exist within the next 10 years, 5 years maybe. With Disney and Apple becoming a thing, I don't think most people are talking about it. I know Netflix buying Warner Brothers is more in the news, but between those two devouring the competition, I think there's going to be nothing really left. I saw a post from a young director not too long ago where he was describing that and describing what the field's going to look like and saying like, okay, this might be the best thing for indie films, right? Because people are going to look for content otherwise, such as YouTube. I know there's tons of other websites. I'm going to give a shout out to Alt, which is a YouTube channel that does particularly horror, but like I think in the future it's going to be people are going to be looking for much alternative versions of film, and that's going to be the way it really goes. They're going to be looking on YouTube and alternative websites. So let's get into the Netflix buying Warner Brothers. Welcome to Derry just came out. I did a video on it. Love that show. They just got two more seasons renewed. Do we know if that's true? If the purchase happens and it's a kill your darling scenario, Netflix shows up and goes, "This is too much money. We're not getting the return. We don't care." And maybe if we're lucky enough, there'll be already partially working on season two, so they won't end it. But could season three end basically just because Netflix went, "We don't want to do it anymore," like they do most of their series? God, they're the number ones for just snipping series that people are loving. And then you have another giant change that's going to hit this community, which Apple buying Disney. It's just gonna. It's the tech has taken over the industry, and when Apple can buy Disney and own all of those rights, it's gonna be like a fluffle. I think is the best term to use on what's going to come out and how little power the audience is now going to have on seeing the things they actually care about anymore. I think this is a really dark time, and I've talked to many people in the industry and around the industry. No one particularly super high up, but your common working man in these industries, working woman, and they all say the same thing. Like this is where collapse happens once there's no competition, or the competition's so small. We're just going to see collapses, and you can already see, how the prescriptions are going up, how commercials are and everything. We're just going to get to the point where we're back at regular cable TV because we're going to not be willing to pay that extra. We're going to have commercials. It's already happening now, really. But then when the ownership switches hands like this, and there's very little competition, it's no one's going to want to watch it anymore. No one's going to care anymore, and they're not going to care as much about the audience because they're not fighting for your attention as much because they know I only got to beat that guy or fight that guy. And if I'm doing a show that's so unsimilar to what that guy does, everyone's going to show up here and watch that and pay for it or just deal with the commercials and the nonsense. And it's going to be an absolute shitstorm for anyone trying to create the content and make the money that used to exist, which we already lost when DVDs disappeared. So now we're dealing with what, both? That you're going to make a show, you're going to get your money for it, that'll be it, no royalties, no nothing. And well, you can only go to me or the other guy. There won't be these, third parties that were smaller but could still afford to put money towards something that was different and separate. And now we're just going to be stuck with, whatever works. Apple buying Disney and Disney failing for the last, what, 3 years, 4 years, because they just wouldn't do anything dangerous. It was only safe. It had to be safe. The scripts had to be designed that, no one actually wants to watch the content because it's so safe. And you're going to have Apple come in. Maybe they can fix that. Maybe that's something they're willing to do. But I don't think so. I think they're just going to run off the fact that they have, all the Disney princesses, they have the theme parks, and they're not going to really care about creating new content when they've just purchased so much. And that Apple TV was good. Like, it wasn't obviously in the threshold but they were willing to do more creative stuff because they needed original content. Now they're going to buy that content and they're not going to care as much to make originals. They're going to do more sequels, which we're already seeing way too much of, and they're just not going to care. Netflix, on the other hand, is going to do the same thing. They're going to buy all these franchises. And really, Netflix owning The Sopranos is dangerous. God, who knows what they're going to do with that? And they're just, instead of creating new stuff, these big companies have decided, why create when we could redo, purchase, and redesign for the audience? And the smaller, broader creatives are going to lose out on how they used to be able to make a lot of money if they could get there. Like, you got to think about the struggles just to get to be able to pitch to those companies, and now you can only pitch to two. And when they say no, you got nowhere else to go. And sometimes, maybe that's good for shows that we weren't looking for. But I promise you, if you're not trying new things, then it's just gonna hit a lull where people don't want to watch it. And everyone I talk to about Netflix, Disney Plus, you name it, said there's nothing on. So it's only going to get worse from here. And that's not me bashing the companies. Like, they're global companies that are just trying to make sure that their dollars hit the end. And there's hundreds of people that work for them. What are they supposed to do? But like, the market is just screwed. And I think we're going to see the general downfall of media in that spectrum of movie and TV show. And theater release will die with Netflix. Warner Brothers, I found, had always liked doing it. They also have a game division that'll be lost. And, I've never seen an Apple TV show or movie go on the big screen. So they're going to devour Warner Brothers, and it's going to be streaming. And that's why we're also seeing so much pirating, because people aren't willing to pay for 20. And I heard someone the other day be excited, being like, oh, now I don't have to own this many, I didn't have to have Hulu and this and X and Y. I just have to have one. And it's just like, that's not the point. For the regular audience, I get how that could be sounding more convenient, but you're not going to like what it's going to look like in the future. That's my general rant on, you just see the big fish eating the smaller fish until there's only two big fish left. One's just going to have to fail, or they're both going to fail, and there's going to have to be a new monopoly startup where, smaller companies get money and can start making their own stuff, and we just kind of do a full restart. So, I really wanted to rant about that and get that off my chest. So, what do you think? Do you think this is good? Do you think this is bad? Are you happy that you only have to pay for one subscription now instead of three? But are you also sad because you know that things are going to be taken off? It's going to go to streaming, and things are not going to be what they ever were. Tell me what you think.